Well, tell me what happened. How did his finger get in your eye?
It was just a play. I reached in and tried to
I
steal
had
the
the
ball.
ball in front of me like this, and he thought he was going to swipe and get the ball, and I moved the ball, and my eye was right there. And to this day, I remember. This is what I remember hearing. Oh my God! My hand went into his eye up to my second knuckle.
It was gross.
And I thought my eye was going to be gone. And I put my hand up to my eye, and then I turned around, and it really wasn't bad. It was like I saw double, but it wasn't like I couldn't see anything. So I was kind of happy. But I screamed, and I'm like, shit, I can't. My son was there, remember?
Yeah, spasm attack.
Yeah, my dad's having a spaz attack. But I went to the doctor, and the doctor said he could see the fingernail in the white of my eye.
That was amazing.
From his fingernail hit me in the back of the eye. But he's lucky it was in the sclera.
Now, what's your angle?
Same thing. I went to reach in for the ball. Chris had the ball. He kind of moved, his head kind of came down a little, and boom, my finger went right in his eye, and it literally went up to the knuckle.
Well, I could see you hit somebody. There had to be some type of friction, and so I could see getting your thumbnail in there, right, or your fingernail, excuse me. But once you got that in there, I thought you went. Let's see how deep I get. Oh, sorry. All right.
He was going this way, and I was going this way.
It just was a perfect coincidence. It really was.
But now, all right. So you get the finger in the eye. You're moaning a little bit.
No, I wasn't moaning a little bit. I thought I lost my eye. I thought I lost my eye. Which would be like, to me, losing your eyesight. Here I am at 63. I don't wear contacts. I don't wear readers. I wear nothing.
I'm the same way.
I just went to the eye doctor, and I still have good vision. I don't have to do that.
So that's why I saw you making out with the dog when you came in? Yeah. Thought it was the wife. They all have hair.
Close enough.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
So that's it.
The story he's talking about is, you remember Shitty
Tommy. Now, don't forget, we had many Tommies.
Now, these are guys that you
We
played
had
with.
Shitty Tommy.
Okay.
We had Totally Blows Tommy.
Okay.
We had Okay Tommy.
So
These are the guys you played basketball with in
St. Greg's.
St. Greg's pickup.
Yeah, so this guy undercuts me like 4 times during the game. So I said, Chris, if he undercuts me one more time,
You even warned him.
I'm gonna break his nose. And Chris is starts laughing because he was sitting out at the time, and I came down on a breakaway. He went underneath me, and I went, bam.
You saw, it was perfect timing too. Like as he was getting undercut, he went, and you saw Tommy's nose go. His nose moved like 2 inches.
Like a Rocky movie.
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, you got me right." And I just burst out laughing because he basically told him he was going to do it if he did it again.
I had to do it.
He still came back and played again after that, though.
Yeah, TBT had the San Francisco 49ers
49ers jacket.
We had good times, man. That was good place.
That was a lot of fun back then.
St. Greg's.
They don't even have that there anymore.
Then, what was it, 8:30 to 10? Was it?
8. Wasn't
No,
it
it was 8:30 to
8:30
we played at like
till
10:15.
we stopped,
Yeah, exactly.
basically.
Remember the first time I played up at
Like 8:30 to 10.
Oh, when you played at the pond. And we Ben.
I'll cover you. You
I
cover.
got you. You got me. You were like, yeah, all right. You lit up the old man up in about 2 seconds.
So we played there. So this is when I just started playing again, right? Because my ex-wife was telling me, hey, you got to get out and play. You got to lose some weight. I'm like, all right, boom, I'll start playing.
Little did she know that would lead to divorce.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe that's why she said it. But
Gotta get you out of the house one way or the other. Get this fucker out of here.
So then we go to play at St. Greg's. So Schaefer and Phil are picking, right? So Schaefer was at Pond the first time I played. And Schaefer's like, why don't you come up Tuesdays and Thursdays? So I go to St. Greg's. So Big Phil and Schaefer picking, and I knew Phil a little bit because Paige played softball with
your
Hannah.
girls
Paige, your daughter.
Yeah, with Hannah, so his daughter. So Phil gets Schaefer's like, you can have the first pick. So Phil takes her one. So Schaefer's like, I got Keith, and I got. So Phil's like, Keith, any good? And I just lit him up.
The one thing you are good at.
Exactly.
Well, actually, not the one thing.
I was happy though. My son ended up having a decent career at Robbinsville too, so I was good. After
They were decent when their team was decent.
yeah,
weren't
they made it to the semis of the
But then
Central
did they all
Jersey.
go to like Disney or some crap?
The three other seniors.
What
went to
is
Disney.
with that?
Hey, the kids do what they want to do nowadays. I
Your
told
son wasn't one of them. I know that.
you. No, he was the only one who didn't go.
Yeah, that I don't think would fly in a Montesquieu house.
Well, the good thing is what Wires did is he had a car come pick him up the next day and put him on the first flight out of Newark. So he missed half a day. These
Right.
kids would have missed half. And they ended up losing to Bordentown by like 4 maybe, which they obviously, if they have the other 3 seniors, they win that game. But then COVID hit, so they would have been stopped.
They would
there.
have, yeah.
So it really didn't matter.
That whole thing ruined everybody's life for a while.
Tony Fauci.
Thanks, Tony.
Where's that guy now?
Nobody's seen him for a while, I don't think. Then they cut his,
Service detail, yes.
you know.
Him and Hunter Biden too.
Well, the conservatives, they might be out to kill him, because that happens a lot. Don't you want to go kill them all the time?
No, we never do that.
Exactly my point. We are not violent.
Oh, look. It's about getting on the news.
Yeah, that's all. About
I mean, it's
think
all
so.
about getting on the news. But, I see all these statistics, like nobody's watching CNN
exactly.
or CNBC or, just mainstream media. But why is it that everybody knows what's on mainstream media?
Yeah.
So somehow they're doing a pretty good job of getting that information
Still controlling
kind of
the
across.
message.
I think it's more about the news. They use their news.
News
channels.
is shifting.
Yeah, the news, but
It's
they're
shifting.
But yeah, that's why they're gonna be done soon.
Yep. People get their news on Facebook and YouTube and
Everything. They get updates, like we said about fantasy.
Facebook.
yeah.
You get news on Facebook?
Yeah, ton.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling
And
you.
they got
You'd
all
be
the
shocked with
algorithms now.
TikTok. I'm telling you, people absorb stuff that is 100% fake,
So how much
and
time?
they think it's real. It's real. I've seen it on the internet.
Well, how much time would you say that you spend looking at your screen during the course of a day?
My phone.
Phone,
Yeah.
computer, everything.
No. Your screen where you're looking at this kind Instagram, Facebook, as you said, TikTok.
I would say for me, because I'm, a little bit older, we're a little bit older, probably at the most a half hour.
I'd say probably 2 hours.
You spend that much
I
time?
watch a lot of TikTok videos.
See, I don't really. I'm not even on TikTok, so maybe that's a good thing.
Well, you can't get on TikTok if you're not on.
How about X?
X, I don't do.
Yeah.
I don't. You know why I don't do?
Do you
X?
use AI? I'll tie it in
No,
together.
I don't.
Do you use AI?
No. My son's trying to get me into it though.
Oh my God.
For business.
I'm just going to tell you. Oh my God. And everybody knows ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Elon's version, Grok, that's now free, Grok free, blows them all away. Not even close. Think you want to do this? Just met with someone.
Are you
Send
sure
them
you're not a Nazi?
Send them a complimentary letter. We covered these 3 bullet points. Boom. Done. I mean, I come up and create a poem for Nora on her birthday. Nora had tears. All right? It's like, this guy couldn't have done that. But, I mean, it's incredible. It's like You have to do it. If you're not doing it, you have to do
So
it. Just
engage
as
the technology, like you engage.
Oh my goodness, for
a
your
mobile
business.
phone,
I
engage
don't
the
know. You know,
technology.
I know.
Well, we use AI in the business, but not in my personal life. Like our company uses AI stuff for advertising and marketing.
No.
and that sort of stuff.
I'm talking you personally.
No.
All right. So, give you an idea. You're going in to make a bid, right? Right. They want an estimate.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You know you're not going to be the cheapest because Johnny Cheapo is
don't wanna
down
be
the
the
street.
cheapest.
Right. You don't want to be the cheapest.
You got to make money.
Okay. So you go in and say, this is the personality that I'm dealing with. Because you know that everybody, right, there's only a few, right? They're controlling, they want to
Read.
think about it,
Read
they're
the room.
procrastinators.
Yep.
And put together an outline on how I should close this sale. I'm just going to tell you, oh my God. And if it's a little off, you say, well, be a little nicer, or be a little aggressive on this point, or do a little bit more on this. It's like, because you go through that yourself when coming into these situations.
Absolutely.
All right. But what we do is, we're not creating new things. We're relying on our past experiences. We're pulling that arrow out of the quiver of experiences. All right. And so you get so ingrained, right? And, you do something the same way for 10 years, 20 years,
Change is tough. That's why people
Malcolm
hate
Gladwell
change.
said 10,000 hours. Shit, we've been doing things. I shit more than 10,000 hours. I should be really good at it right now. I mean, how about come on getting worse at it?
You're getting older.
But going back to my point that it is like a game changer. How do I make this omelet better? I make smoothies. I just, what can I do here to be a little bit healthier? I mean, and unlike, I think that many of them are kind of programmed to be biased in a certain direction, I think Elon is true to his words that, hey,
he wants
it's just
freedom
going to be
of thought.
honest.
He wants
What's
freedom
it called?
of thought and
Grok?
speech.
Huh?
Grok.
Grok.
And it's an app. you just
Grok.
download.
Yep. You can download it. You can do it online. You can do, and just get in there. I mean,
I'll have to try that.
I've tried them all. I mean, I spend 17 hours a day. No, but I get my news from X. And I can ask for the news that I want to know about. All right? And the also thing is,
And how do you ask
get
for
both
news
sides.
that you want to know about if you don't know the
I want to
news
know
already
both
exists?
sides. Like if there's a conflict between two countries. All right? Why is this, why are they saying this and why are they saying that? Like, I like to get the facts and form my own opinion of stuff. Rather than what most people do is they hear something and,
repeat what they heard and buy what they heard.
Exactly.
But I think AI, and they talk about AI, is either going to be something that's going to make life so much better or
so much worse.
Or it's
so
gonna-
much worse.
it's gonna make
Okay?
things explode.
But I would say that if we all learn how to use it, no matter what you're doing in your regular life or daily life, okay, you get simple answers. And again, when trying to, like I was in Switzerland, I did a presentation for a company, and I got the backgrounds, the values of the company, this and the other, and I said, now weave this into the presentation, right? So after the presentation, I get done, the CEO comes running up. I didn't know he was the CEO. Anyway, and wow, that was great. Can you come and meet with our board of directors? And I'm telling you, none of that would have happened because I would not have thought that way to tie in certain points that made the company feel really good about themselves. That's all it really was, right? You're in a sales organization and it's all rah, rah, rah. Mm-hmm. And if you can make them feel as though they're better than their competition. Anyway, so that's just my story on it.
Absolutely.
This is not about me. This is about you, Keith. You're here. All right.
And it's been a long time.
You're a legend in so many aspects. And we really wanted to hear from you. And,
What do you want to know?
well, I want to know about your Rutgers basketball playing days. All right. You walked on. Now, here's all right. We haven't talked about this in years.
Okay.
All right. You walked on. They said, "Holy shit, you're really freaking good," and then you did something to piss somebody off, and you got booted from the team.
No, that was actually college. That was Trenton State.
Trenton State.
Trenton State recruited me, and then I
Did you know?
played there. I came into camp out of shape, so Kevin Bannon.
You were out of shape.
Kevin Bannon was mad at me, so we played 3 games in a tournament, and me and another guy were laughing on the back of the bus, and we got off the bus, and Bannon said, "Everyone in the locker room." So we went in the locker room, and he said, "What's your problem, Monteseschi?" And I said, "What's your problem, Coach?" He said, "Let's see what you got something to do with me," and I tackled him. And I got kicked off the team. Then 2 years later, I went out for Rutgers because I transferred there. I was a walk-on, and I was the last guy cut. And the head coach was this guy, Bob Wenzel. I ended up coaching his son at St. Bart's in East Brunswick.
Oh, isn't that rich?
Yeah, his son was pretty good. I played him. I shouldn't have, but I did. And then the 2 assistant coaches, you probably know, they both said, "You should play intramurals." I said, "I ain't playing intramurals." But the 2 assistant coaches were Eddie Jordan. I'm sure you heard of him. He played in the NBA. And Jeff Van Gundy.
Jeff Van Gundy.
Yeah.
No, that's funny.
Yeah, so that's what happened there. That was my basketball career after going. But originally, when I graduated from East Brunswick, second team, all state, I was going to a small college that you might know something about, John, called Muhlenberg.
Muhlenberg College.
Yes.
Dominant in the NIT in the 50s, by the way.
Was going to play basketball and football there. And
I didn't know you played football.
Yeah, I played football.
What position?
Quarterback.
Quarterback.
Yeah. And so I was going to go there, and then I ended up at the last second staying closer to home and going to college in New Jersey.
Now, let me ask you a question about Trenton State. Did you know a famous basketball player named, probably was a year or 2 ahead of you, maybe 3 or 4, EB, was his known as Donald Nolan?
No.
Never mind.
The person I did know played 7 years in the NBA. His name was Greg Grant. Played for the Sixers.
Greg Grant, sure.
5'7", coached Trenton High
Yeah.
School. Yeah, me and Greg were good friends on that team. Good guy. Hell of a player. So fast, it was unbelievable. He was like what's the little guy used to play up at St. Greg's? Remember that little guy used to come over once in a while?
Little guy.
I don't think there were any really
The
big
only
guys.
little guy I remember is Ronnie Alley.
No, this guy was good. Ron was okay, but this guy was really good.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but Grant was 10 times better than him. And then there was also another guy in that Trenton State team by the name of Jerry Toot, who ended up becoming the Wall.
The what?
The Wall in the WWE.
Oh, no shit. That's great. He became a professional wrestler?
Yeah, he was
that's fun.
6'6", 280 pounds, big guy.
Big boy.
Yeah, and then another guy, a good friend of mine, Kevin Ryan, was an All-American Division III player too. They lost in the finals the year after I left. They lost the national championship in the finals. And I saw Bannon at what's the place now? It's Harpoon Willie's. I forget the name. I saw him there.
When
probably.
it was Centro?
Yeah, probably.
Where's that?
I don't know what name it was.
Right on the corner.
Yeah, it was Baronville, Bar
Yeah,
1.
what was it when we were Santino's?
Yeah, it's been a million places.
And we had that basketball.
Ashley?
Oh my God. It ended up costing $185 for 30 of us. Open bar. They actually even went out and bought sausage, peppers, and onions from another restaurant. It was probably maybe 2-3 weeks before they closed it?
Yeah, it was right before the holidays, right?
Yeah,
It was like a holiday party.
Yeah.
But
That was
I saw him
ridiculous.
there with his brother, and I told him, I said, you would have won the national championship if I was on that team. And I'm convinced they would have, but what are you going to do?
It's all
What are you gonna do?
fantasy now.
But that party was the best.
That
They actually went out and got us more beers.
They did.
They ran out of beer.
We drank them out of beer. We drank them out of everything. Well, they were about
I
to
wanna-
close.
How did he respond to that when you said that to him?
He laughed, and then his brother said, you shouldn't say something like that. And I said, go F yourself, Terry. He's kissing your brother's ass for the last 30 years, you know what I mean? Bannon was a good coach. Give him credit. I mean, Coach Rutgers, too. I mean, he's the one who had the guys running suicides naked.
They were running suicides naked?
Yeah. You never heard that story?
No.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons he got fired.
No, wait a second. You're a basketball player.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think he...
And the coach says to you, take off your clothes and run suicides.
Do you go, okay, coach?
Okay, yeah.
I say, no way, buddy.
Exactly.
That's why I came to this college.
Yeah, you can't make it up.
All right, we should leave it at that before, that's a documented fact?
Documented fact, yes.
Okay.
Then we could say it.
Yep.
Well, it's an opinionated documented fact, because I don't know it's a documented fact, but,
Well, right.
he never
Prove them wrong.
prove him wrong. There it is.
me
Prove
wrong.
him wrong. All right, folks, you can prove him wrong. I don't think they can prove him wrong, though. He's pretty confident with that,
Very.
100%.
Now, did you ever run naked suicides just to see?
No, how can you do it?
Right.
Well, you start by taking off your clothes. All right. If you want a step-by-step
That
instruction,
would be extremely painful.
Exactly.
Extremely painful.
Exactly.
wait a minute, he's Polish.
Not Irish.
Half Irish. Did you stop by see your house across the street? The Searches? Was
What?
that?
This one right here?
Yeah. Was that your house?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I lived across the street from here.
Yeah.
Who lives there now?
Friend of mine, Danny Searts.
Danny Sertz?
Yeah.
I just noticed that they put on a nice patio in the back, a roof on
Pretty
the back.
big one. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
good
it looks
size.
like
Yeah, it's pretty good size.
almost looks like an addition they put on there.
We had when my son was probably.
I think, you remember the dude Todd that we used to play basketball with? Lives just out in the neighborhood there. Remember Todd?
Yeah.
I think he built that.
Oh, really? He's
Yeah, I
like-
think
he's
so.
like-
Well, he's in
carpenter.
construction. I know he's
Yeah.
got something to do with construction.
Yeah, I was there for my son might have been 10. So they were having like a team party there. So Juliet goes to me, "Hey, you want to see the house?" And I said, "I already seen his house." And she's like, "What do you mean? You Danny invited you over?" I go, "No. I was here for a music party 10 years ago, you know."
We had some pretty good parties.
Ooh. Actually, the last time I got sick from drinking was at your party. I left your house.
I will say that's a false statement. I would say that, yes, he did get sick and stop at my party. But he was at a martini
Most
bar.
of the drinking occurred before I even got to
All
the
right,
house.
there you go. You
That's
see,
true.
we only serve,
That's
so
very
much
true.
alcohol.
Yeah.
All
Well, if he
right?
lives across the street,
I
it
think
don't
you were
really matter.
shocked you saw me leave.
Well,
Well, I fertilized your lawn on my way out.
Out of his stomach.
How about that time when your dogs exploded from Stan's
That's not-
chicken stuff?
so
How about Jerry?
I run a bus to pick up folks in Philly and South Jersey, stop at my house, and then go to New York for a Christmas party.
Okay.
Now, I'll admit I was a little bit like the Griswolds, and I had all of these reindeer all along the lawn. You've seen them, the white reindeer with the white lights,
Yeah.
$14.99 at Walmart after Christmas. And when we came back, like at 2:00 in the morning, all the deer were humping each other. All of them. The whole bus was rolling. So this is now 2:00. It's Sunday morning, right?
Who did it?
I am maybe a neighbor. And now
Probably Stan.
I wake up. It's 11:30.
He knows who it was.
Now, what do people are doing Sunday morning? They're taking their kids and going to church, driving by the house with all the deer humping.
They need to learn about nature.
But when I moved, he took the
He
sheep.
gave me the deer.
They never made it his front lawn. I don't know. Look, I don't know. Those Staten Island guys.
We have new deer now.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
How long you been in this house, Chris?
27 years?
Wow.
Yeah, I did 27.
Brutal.
28 this year, maybe? Yeah, 28. This in 2 weeks, it'll be 28 years.
You're
Long
almost
freaking
done.
time. Longest I've ever lived anywhere.
You're almost done with your mortgage.
Mortgage's been done for a while.
That's good.
Yeah. You're in a place for 27 years, you should be done with your mortgage.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah, I'm done with 3 of them. On my 4th. Yeah, you're only done with 1. That's nothing. There you go. That's what boomers do.
Yeah.
Yep. That raise your kids.
Well,
They're all pretty much raised and on their own now, thank God. That's
You
the
have no grandkids yet, do you?
No. Not yet. No marriages, no grandkids. They're all in a relationship with somebody.
Are they all local?
2 daughters are local. Son is out by Allentown, PA.
What town?
I don't know now because he just moved in February, but he was in Walnutport.
Walnutport.
I think that's it.
Yeah, it's right outside Allentown.
Yeah, about 15 minutes outside
Yeah.
Allentown. Yeah. He was there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Halfway between
And he's
here
living
and
with a girl?
Kentucky. Yes, he just moved in with his girlfriend. Cool. We've been together maybe 6-8 months, something like that.
Can I talk a little basketball again?
Yeah, sure.
Of course.
All right. Look,
What do you think of the NBA?
That's what exactly I was going to ask him.
Fucking unwatchable.
I watch more.
I'm not asking you.
I'm just.
I'll interview you next
Hey,
week.
I'm part of this. I get to make it.
I watch more NBA now because of my son than I probably watched in the last 15 years because he's into it. The game is brutal. All it is guys just shooting threes.
It's not the game
It's
anymore.
not watchable.
It's either threes or jams and no defense.
Yep.
It's
They won't even let guys play defense. If they get touched, it's a foul.
it's hard to watch.
Yeah, it's very hard.
To me, it's hard.
College is a lot better to watch.
Way
The
better.
NCAAs have been very, very good.
My question was to him.
Well, you just answered your question.
No, yeah, through your lips.
A lot of people answer
Here's
questions
my
through those
phone.
lips.
Here's my follow-up, though.
Go ahead.
All right? Because I think it's a valid point. Why is your son so into it that he pulled you into it? I mean, what does he see that you don't see?
I guess he's just younger and he played kind of in that type of game when he was in high school, playing at Penn State, intramurals, stuff like that. That's where the game is now, so he gets into it. It's not the game we played, but it's the game they played, so he's into it, so I end up watching it. Basically, that's it.
Do you like pro football?
Love it. Favorite sport.
All right,
far.
but when
Fight
you
sport.
played, they had leather helmets and high tops, and and they didn't throw as much.
Well, that game's different too, but football's, it's the best sport by far to watch, without a doubt.
Most entertaining.
Yeah, not even close. And then I still watch baseball. You still into baseball?
Oh, very much so.
Fighting Phils?
Fighting Phils are 3-1. They're off today.
Oh, they'll be going to the World Series.
Yeah.
No, not the Phils. The Eagles.
Oh,
All right, I mean, if they didn't
Hard to
prove that they
argue
were the
there.
best team in football, and maybe one of the most dominant Super Bowls in the history of this recent Super Bowls, I
Especially
mean, there's
recent.
such a recent bias
Especially
in
recent.
everything, right? Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay, so anyway,
Yeah.
and what was Jalen Hurts doing 14 days after the Super Bowl?
Don't know.
Working out with his coach. I mean, if
Sirianni?
he doesn't have, no, his quarterback coach, I'm
Okay.
sorry, that he personally hires.
Okay.
But if that guy doesn't have that drive to be great, like the great ones have, now, history will prove itself. But tell me another quarterback, all right? And they refuse to put him in the top 5.
I think
Put a top-
lot of
another quarterback that
quarterbacks
has
on
his
that
drive.
team with that line would be good quarterbacks.
That's
That line is the best line in football.
all
I
right,
think
mainstream
by far.
media.
He's got Barkley.
By far.
He's got 2 great receivers. He's got definitely got
I'm
weapons.
playing with Timmy Morgana the other day,
Vikings?
and Joe Board, a friend of his who I know through Timmy, and he goes to me, "Hey Chris, I haven't seen you in a while. Just want to thank you for sending us Barkley." I go, "You're an ass. You should be thanking us for that maneuver. You know, win the Super Bowl without
Plus, they drafted great Howie
a
Roseman.
great team."
Howie Roseman, Marlboro, New Jersey. That's where
I
he's
think
from.
it's culture, right? I mean, there's certain organizations, certain teams. John Wooden, UCLA, good coach, great coach.
Probably the best coach ever.
Okay, and when they talk about the greatest basketball player ever, it was a guy that, what did he lose, 1 or 2 games? Back then he was named Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
He's not the best ever.
Yeah, I don't think they like UCLA didn't lose a game for, was it in a long time?
Like 7 years, right?
Yeah, it was something ridiculous.
He won like
And
7
it went
championships
from like Jabbar
to Walton.
to Walton, and I think when they lost that Final Four, it's like the first game they lost in like 70 games or 80
They lost
games.
to Notre
Something
Dame,
crazy. They lost to Notre Dame.
No, well, the famous game was in the Astrodome against Houston
Yeah, Elvin
with the
Hayes.
Big E. Yeah, the Big E,
Great player.
right?
He's a great pro, too.
But find me a better player with a better record, better points, better rebounds than Alcindor during those UCLA years.
You can't.
I don't know that you can.
You can't. Now, was it players or was it culture?
It's both. What do you think of his new NIL stuff?
I think it's why the first time in a long time that I can remember we got 4 number 1s
Exactly, because
in the Final
all
Four.
these guys are getting paid.
Well, I think they should get paid. You take a look at the Fab Five. I mean, look at the merchandising
Oh my
they did.
God.
They changed
changed
every
the
outfit.
game.
They changed everything and were ridiculed because they tried to monetize that.
Exactly.
They should have monetized that.
The problem you got now, though, John, is if you're a smaller school
You're done.
and you give a kid a scholarship and he ends up becoming a real good player, like the point guard for Florida, I can't think of his name. He went to Iona, was playing under Pitino, played 2 years there, was a great player. But then the big schools come in and say, "All right, we're going to give you, we'll give you 1.2 million." to
Yeah,
come
they
to
have the
Florida."
money.
Yeah.
All right, but let me ask you a question. Not all those guys getting 1.2 million are going to get 1.2 million in the pros because they're not going to make it. True?
True.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're their parent.
Yeah, you got to take the money. You don't have a choice.
100%.
Okay. All right. So first off, from the kid's point of view, you got to do that. You got to have the opportunities. Now, are we criticizing the schools or the boosters for doing that? Is it their problem that they're doing it, or they can do it now, or they should have been doing it all along. And just think of the NFL if there wasn't a cap. Like there's certain teams that make a heck of a lot more money than other teams, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so you don't have a cap. In baseball, you got the luxury tax, but there's literally no cap there, and you kind of have the same thing in baseball. Like if you said, I think the Yankees and the Dodgers will be in the World Series, right? Every year you could probably say that.
Yeah.
Yep, without a doubt.
So I think that if we compare it to the other sports other than football, then it's an equal playing field, and why shouldn't it be at that level? I think it's what we're going to see, and I see it with my grandson who's unbelievable at 6th grade. I see it going to the high school level in certain areas where they're going to be.
It's already there.
It is?
It's already there, yeah. They're already paying kids to go to high school. That's why the coach, guy by the name of Kevin Boyle, he coached Montverde. He's from East Brunswick. Montverde's where Cooper Flagg went, the center from Maryland went, Ben Simmons went. Team was dynamite. They won the national championship for high school basketball at least 6 out of the last 10 years. He left that school this year to go to Ohio because they're going to have a bigger budget for him to get players. So it's in high school at that level, at the upper level, echelon level. And again, it's the same thing you just said about the college players.
The only problem with all that is nobody's teaching them financial literacy, and the parents probably don't have financial literacy, and the teachers don't have financial literacy, which are really the trusted advisors when you're growing up.
Well, that's the biggest concern.
And if you could just take 20% of that and put it away by the time you get to retirement,
You're set for
you're
life.
buying a house in Palm Beach.
Exactly. Why 20%? Put 50% away. Right? If you're getting them.
So since we're doing a live podcast here at the home of, Chris Francis, because
Goldberg.
we were doing it at a restaurant, but the restaurant decided to change their calendar and close on the nights that we could do it, and they wanted us to do it on Friday. We said, screw that, Friday's for our families, but the idea is to do it.
Where was the restaurant?
Wait a second.
Out by
here.
you?
You went out, you got 1 beer, 2 beers.
Yours are right here in the freezer. I didn't know you wanted it. It's in here in the freezer. I'll get it for you.
Look, which glass could you tell is empty? Boomers Unplugged. We're back. All right, so we've had a couple beers. We've talked about a lot of different things. All right, and when you get to 60, what is your biggest concern? Is it health, wealth, or kids?
All of the above.
Yeah, I don't think you can put anyone. They all are at the top of
That's all you think.
life at any given time.
Yeah.
Each one of those things is at the top of your life at any given time. Like right now, your kids might be, but then tomorrow, your health might be,
Yep.
or
Or if
it changes
the
all the
market
time.
gets crushed and you lose a lot of money, and you're worried about, hey, how am I going to pay for my retirement? That becomes an issue. Do I have enough money? Am I going to run out of money? But
Well, that's where the kids come in. I mean, you think about this, though, right? Every culture that comes to the United States, and I don't care what it is, you're that first generation, and your parents are old and so forth. It's not even a question. You're taking them in, you're taking care of them, all right? But as you
That's
get
what
to
needs
that
to
second
happen.
generation, third generation, there's less and less of that.
it's a different mentality.
Why?
It's the way it is. See it with my own family. It's the way it
But
is.
where does the change come? How does the change come? That's kind of a cultural change, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but I think that
Maybe it's our fault,
It-
parents' fault.
regardless,
Well, I blame a lot of things on improper parenting. All of us, thank God, knock wood, all have good kids, and we've raised them to be good human beings.
yeah, Dr. Spock was right.
So what?
I got raised by Dr. Spock. Any of you guys ever get hit by your parents?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, what was your favorite their instrument to provide discipline?
My mom used to whack us with a wooden spoon until she started breaking so many of them she couldn't afford to keep buying new ones.
Not good in a Polish family because it would break in the first shot.
Yeah, my grandmother who lived with us would always hit us with a wooden spoon too, and
Would it?
and then she'd say, "You dumb Polak, you broke another one of my spoons," because she was Irish.
Did you ever get hit with a belt?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know about a belt. I'm not sure. I know my dad kicked me a couple times.
Pulled your hair.
My dad's thing was he had a college ring, and he would turn his ring around and go, "Bah!" and hit you on the top of the head with the ring, and you'd get a little knot on your head. He used to do that with quite efficiently.
You're smart enough to spin the ring around.
Yeah, that's on my head. That's why I thank God I have a lot of hair, because otherwise I'd have all little
Yeah, like John.
divots in my
I get hit with just about-
He's got a pretty good head. It's a pretty good head.
You know, it's got hit a lot. I got hit with a cat of nine tails. You know what a cat of nine tails is?
Yeah, it's a whip.
Well, it's a piece of stick with 9 straps. Okay, just hanging there. I got hit with that a couple of times. And I'll tell you what, you get hit with that a couple, it'll change your behavior. I'm just going to tell you.
You know, when I lived in Tehran, their New Year is called Nowruz, and they have a cat of nine tails, and they basically beat themselves for a whole day to repent for their sins, just like this. Not like real hard.
That's why I don't sin. I mean,
You would think they don't want to do anything wrong.
Ron.
And so, did you ever see your grandparents fight, or
Grandparents?
Never. Not one time.
I don't even really remember seeing my parents fight.
Oh, my parents fought.
I don't remember seeing my parents fight at all. I really don't.
My dad's parents lived in Flemington. They never. We never saw them fight because we'd only see him probably one day a month. And then my grandmother lived with us. Her husband was dead, so can't fight with a dead person.
Well, you could.
So I was about 10 years old, and my grandparents, on my father's side, Polish side, had a few levels, right? One of those, kind of twin homes, and you had the bedrooms up here, and then there was another level, and there was a bedroom over here, and then you had, living room and dining room, and of course they didn't have a couch, they had a Davenport, all right? And so I come downstairs, I was in the
That's
upstairs
a boomer
bedroom.
word.
Yeah.
And I come downstairs, and I hear this fighting, like vicious. And my grandfather's got the big fork that you use for the turkey and the big knife, and he's, "I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna rip your hearts out." I'm like, "Oh my God!" All right. And so I go running back upstairs, and then it quiets down, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna come back down." I come back down, and as I come around the same little corner, I'm looking. There's my grandmother with the fork. And like, "I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna rip your hearts out." And I go running back upstairs again. Now I'm like, "Oh my God!" So it gets quiet. And I finally come down, and they're sitting there having breakfast. Like, "Oh, Johnny, come on down, have breakfast." And it's like it never happened. It was the most bizarre thing in the world.
Different world.
"I gotta kill you. I gotta rip your
It
heart
wasn't
out."
April Fool's, was it?
No, but it is April Fool's.
Yeah.
What's the best April
That's
Fool's?
what I was waiting. I thought it was going to be a JB joke, and you were going to go, "Oh, April Fool's." That's what I thought you were going to do when you were telling that story.
What were you going to ask? What was the best April Fool's
Yeah, did
joke?
you ever do an April Fool's prank or have a prank on you?
No, but when I was at Ots one time, well, I guess it's a prank on me. There's this guy, Jimmy, God rest his soul, he just passed away. So I walk in there one day for lunch and he's not there yet. And one of the bartenders said, did you hear about Jimmy yesterday? And I said, no. Well, his wife's going to divorce him. And I'm like, get out of here. This girl, the bartender's name's Claire. I'm like, get out of here. She goes, no, yeah, I'm like, well, why is she divorcing him? They've been married like 35 years. She told me he got caught in ShopRite parking lot blowing another guy.
And that was April Fool's?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God. Good. I'm like, oh my God, that's unbelievable. It took me like an hour, and then I thought,
That's pretty good.
Then it hit me. I said, Claire, you're unbelievable.
That's funny.
Did you ever do one?
Not that I can remember.
You?
Yeah, I was the classic April Fool's kind of joke
I'm
kind
shocked.
of guy. Well, the best one I ever did, all right, is I'm kind of a manager kind of guy. And I get a photo early on in the internet, off the internet, of a guy, all right, from the neck down, built like me, broke both his legs and was in the hospital, right, with the broken legs and the nurses around and, you know, and I said, I just had this picture taken. I was in a terrible accident this morning. That's why I'm not in. And I didn't come in purposely to pull this prank, all right? So it was like 3 o'clock, my phone's ringing, nobody can get a hold of me, right? So then I send these photos of me in the hospital with broken legs, and then, oh my God, when I realized that people were trying to find the hospital and sending me gifts there and at home, I had to tell them April Fools. I did, but I had so many people because it spiraled, you know. So that's
great.
That was my best one.
That's a pretty good one.
You know,
Definitely.
and then you know, why is it that 2 weeks after April Fools, you know what it is?
Tax day.
Tax day,
Yeah.
right?
Of course.
It's April Fool's all over.
Now, we all pay our taxes legitimate. We're W-2 employees. We don't have any choice. All right? But you probably know a few business owners and so forth. Is the fact that they're laying off IRS agents or anything an encouragement for people to
Cheat more?
I think certain people cheat on their taxes. And
Period.
And certain
Period.
people don't.
People do
All
what
your-
they're supposed to do. I think most people that we know don't want to deal with
Penalties.
the ramifications of not paying your appropriate tax.
Exactly.
Right? You might have a gray area with an investment here or there, but it wouldn't be anything that would be a problem.
Like when I get that 1099 from the bank and it says the interest and I don't add the cents, I'm not going to get audited for that, right?
No.
No, I would hope not.
No, I'm good with that
I
one.
would hope not.
Now, you said in your business, you're all W-2 employees?
Yes, because my business is Johnny Paycheck, all right, is not what you thought it was. I'm in the clothing business.
That's the greatest laugh. That's a good laugh right there.
The clothing business.
I can tailor your suit to fit your needs.
That's a pretty good tagline right there.
Well, there you go. I mean,
Tailor your suit to fit your needs.
I just grokked that. That Grok gave me that one right there. You know?
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you're like, I mean,
There's certain business. What I can say is there's certain businesses that you can be in and talk freely about your business, and then there's other businesses that if you even bring up the business, you can't do it.
Yep.
Like, you know. All right.
Yeah, like
I used to work for the CIA,
I
and
think you're not supposed to tell anybody.
I can tell you what I did. I can't tell you what I'm doing or what I'm going to do.
Okay,
All right.
gotcha.
So
unless you are
Did you
like
tell that
really
to the police
gross,
officer who was
ripping
here
people
earlier?
off, ripping off the government, they're not going to order you for. They might just send you a letter. Hey, yo, it's $222. You know, and that usually comes from state of New Jersey. The federal government don't even. They just say,
Yeah, state of New Jersey sends you stuff all the time.
yeah, you owe us another $110.
Yeah, it's like an amount of money that you're like, fuck.
Yeah, I gotta
I'm
pay.
gonna deal with them over $100. Here's the $100.
we got to be careful with that.
Why?
I'm just telling you that there's so many little scams and so forth. So,
Oh no, these come
Friend
from
of-
New Jersey.
oh no. So I'm going fishing on Friday. I was fishing last year. Ever go
Opening
shad
day.
fishing?
Oh, you going shad fishing?
You ever go shad fishing?
No.
Delaware.
So you probably thought about or wondered what it would be like to go salmon fishing out in Alaska, right?
Right next to the bears.
About as close
Yeah,
to
the
it.
bears, right? But you know. So these are fish that act like salmon. They're not salmon,
Right.
but they come up the Delaware against, right?
Yep.
And it is some of the most fun fishing.
And they swim all the way up to like Port Jarvis area. They go way up.
Right.
Can you eat them?
Yeah.
Well, in Lambertville, New Jersey, they have the Shad Fest, which is a big weekend where all the restaurants, they'll make their version of salads and soup and so forth. And some families swear by it.
Really, I'm not a fan.
So, like, if you've never done that kind of fishing, you certainly should do it. And it's reasonable. Like, you can rent a boat, right? Now, with a guy that, captains the little boat. I mean, it's a little boat. There's three of you on the boat.
Kind of thing, yeah.
And you're in there in between New Hope and Lambertville, waving to people on the bridge.
It's very nice there.
You can't fish off the
Bridge. no.
side.
I'm sure you can fish off the sides, but the streams that come up, where they come up, all right, they follow a specific path up. And I don't think it's along the coast or anywhere that you can cast off of. If you're a mighty caster, I think you could probably do it.
Mighty caster.
You know?
You know Eddie Satina?
Yeah, I know Ed Satina.
Yeah, he lives in Lambertville now.
He does?
Is that where he moved to?
Yeah.
Well, if you've never been to Lambertville,
I've been there.
the time to go is during Halloween because there's like 3 streets, all right, lined up. The most incredible Halloween displays. Like there was one little row home that had the traditional kind of porch that goes around. Well, they converted to a pirate ship, and the pirates were there, and they're blasting their big cannons at you.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, it is super cool. It is like, I lived in the area for years and years and years, and I can't believe that I didn't go there. And I'm going there every year. All right. And I was a pirate. All right. But you just got to go.
You were always big in Halloween, though.
I like Halloween. Halloween's, one of my favorite
Not
holidays.
just Halloween.
Well, what else?
White deer.
Yeah. Deer that hump each other.
Well, no, my deer were very polite, kind of
It's not
holiday
it's
festive
not what
deer.
I saw.
Yes. Until you have a neighbor that, changes the deer to Humpty Dumpty,
It's a great story.
Yeah, that is a good story. But getting back to the taxes and so forth, right? What do you think? You think we're going to get into that, we're moving into that era of AI and lower taxes and tariffs and that kind of world that was painted? Or do you think that...
Well, what do you think is going to happen as more of these as AI expands and
More people.
robots begin to take over a lot of these things, what's going to happen to employment levels? Do you begin to tax robots? What's going to happen if you think about it? If AI begins to accelerate, especially at the rate they're talking about, why do people even have to think? Why do they have to do anything? You'll have robots in there.
Neurochip.
It's like
Neuralink, right?
It's like your cell phone. At the times you start typing it, it already has it.
Wants to type for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't particularly care for that.
Yeah, because
I was sending an email today and it kept trying to correct me. And I'm like, no, this is exactly what I want to say. Even though it was probably incorrect grammar. I thought grammar didn't count anymore. Right?
Exactly.
Well, it was last time it was my birthday. I got on my cell phone. I said, "Hey Siri, it's my birthday." It was like, "I think it's time for an upgrade." I'm like, "Geez, a whiz."
It's who knows what's happening. I mean, just look at the last
5 years.
10 years. It's been amazing how much things have changed.
Well, it's Moore's Law, right?
Well,
Yeah.
if you guys don't use ChatGPT or Grok, how do you know it's even changing?
I hear things.
Perspective. You see it in everyday life.
What do you think has changed the most in the last 10 years?
What do you think?
10 years. We go back to 2015. Now, not too many things happened in 2015.
Period? Like, period?
Yeah,
What
what do you think is the greatest change?
I would say technology.
That's too broad.
That's too broad.
Too broad.
More precisely.
Something that affects your life.
Uber's a good one.
Red Robin.
Ernie's. Now that affected my life.
Ernie's was closed 10 years ago, right?
No, not
I
10.
don't think so.
Not 10?
Not 10.
All right, but
Probably
what do you...
7 or so.
Before COVID.
But, I mean, you think about it. What has changed then? If you can't think about anything that's really meaningful in your life that has changed over the last 10 years, has there really been a lot of change? Like, you've been in the same house for 27 years.
I think there's been a ton of change when it comes to professionally, your job and how you run it and how you use electronic to run your business.
Digital marketing and
Yeah, digital marketing is huge.
social media marketing has come pretty far in 10 years, I would say.
Yeah, think about it. No one even uses other marketing anymore besides
Right,
social and digital.
Right.
Everything else is done.
Right? And TV is dying out.
TV's dying out. Papers are dead.
Because people screen now, stream shit now instead of doing, I'm paying for television. I got to get rid of my stupid cable TV.
Yeah.
What the hell do I need it for?
Papers are dead.
How much do you pay for cable?
Probably $270 a month.
I pay $240. It's a joke, isn't it?
And I don't like half the shit.
How many boxes do you have?
2.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Cable's ridiculous. Who do you have, Comcast or Cablevision?
Here we're Cablevision, who's
Don't you have
now,
Fios here too?
Optimum. Optimum, right?
Don't say anything?
No, Optimum, who changed to Altice.
Okay, I got actually have Verizon now. Fios.
As a matter of fact, I got to call them again.
I miss
which
Fios.
I highly advise everybody to do.
Every year.
Call them and ask them what new packages they have, because they're losing subscribers left and right, and they're dying to keep anybody. So they
Exactly.
will give you back. I did it a year and a half ago. They dropped my number to 209. Now it slowly creeps back up. I got to do it again. And if they don't, I'll just change to 100% I'll go buy one of those
Fire sticks.
Ultra Box, whatever the hell they're called.
Buy a 5 stick.
There's apps you can download that give you 1,500 channels, and you pay like $50.
What
a
do your
year
kids
or some
have?
Shit. One of those, I don't know.
My kids
Yeah,
have YouTube.
my son does a lot of YouTube
Yeah,
stuff.
YouTube. My kids too. YouTube.
So they don't even need any of this stuff.
No,
They don't need a Fire Stick. All they need is a connection.
Pretty much.
Yeah, all they need is the internet.
Pretty much. Because they have all that other, those dark sites that you can go to. And
Dark sites?
Oh, I don't know. What do you call them?
I don't know. Like, are they like you can't see them? They're
I know,
dark,
you
or
can't see them.
where are you? I'm in a site. Where? I don't know. It's dark in
Turns
here.
black.
I mean, what's a dark site? That's what.
Well, that a lot of people don't know about, but they
Yeah.
all share these sites where you can go on to share whatever.
Yeah, I got a
Movies,
guy, a
music,
friend of mine who can basically get you any channel, anywhere, anytime. All you need is an internet connection.
So why don't we change to that? All you need then is
Because
Wi-Fi.
it's illegal.
How do you know?
I don't know.
It's like calling 911.
Well, let me
By
ask you,
mistake.
let me ask you a question then. What's more illegal? Getting your TV service or whatever service you can from something like that, or cheating on your taxes? What's worse?
For you or for who you're cheating? I mean, for the government, I would think cheating on your taxes would be worse, because I got called. I had a cheater box years ago.
Oh yeah, me too.
Years and years
I
ago.
know what you're talking about.
And
They found out on you?
I moved, and I tried to get one for here, and it didn't work. Different cable company, it just didn't work. It never worked. I think it was Optimum out of New York, because I had lived in New York at the time. They busted a company that was importing all of them from Taiwan or China and selling them. And part of the settlement was, with that company, they had to give them all the people
subscribers?
that they shipped to.
Subscribers.
Right, so they couldn't get me on the first one because I had shipped it to a place where I worked. What are you gonna do? Go to a building and there's companies there and stuff.
Right.
You'll never find the individual, right? So this time I had it shipped here. Well, I start getting letters from lawyers.
How much it cost you?
$1,500. But I had.
Yeah, you got your money's worth.
It was well
out of
worth
it.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was well worth it.
Exactly. I think the government worries about U.S. aid more than anything.
They should be.
I thought they eliminated that
Well, they're
yesterday or the day before.
They're trying to. It keeps getting shot down by the judges,
Yeah.
district judges.
They got to do something about that. That's ridiculous.
They will. Something will happen.
Well, you ever imagine that some of that money might be out actually doing good for people?
No.
Listen, when you find that
I mean, you
level
throw
of
out-
fraud involved with anything, you have to say, if some of it's that fraudulent, all of it's fraudulent, you got to shut it down. And if you want to rebuild it, I have no problem with you rebuilding United States aid around the world. But we have to be a little more judicious about how we throw our money around.
Well, the money's coming back.
Well, I agree with that, but
100% it's being laundered.
It's coming back to-
being laundered.
Is that
through
100% of it?
No.
Okay,
it's
so
it's getting laundered through like 20 different NGOs. So by the time it comes back, it's a much more smaller.
So my
number.
point
It also
is, are
goes
we
back to the
throwing out
politicians.
maybe a
100%.
baby with the bathwater?
Sometimes you got to do that.
Sometimes you got to do that. I don't know. I don't know.
Listen,
I don't know.
I subscribe to government inefficient. Get rid of as much of it as you can. It's exploded into something that's absolutely ridiculous. and we just keep funding all
There you
these
go.
programs.
That's another
So
thing.
You
We talked
start
about.
a government program, it never stops. It goes on in perpetuity forever.
Okay.
That's another thing that's
Are you
blown
guys
up in the
smart?
last 10 years.
Would you consider
No.
above
I'm an idiot,
normal?
so you better dumb down your next statement.
I would consider myself a highly intellectual human being.
Okay.
Look at the size of his head. How can he not be intellectual?
Exactly.
My point is, all right, then why haven't you been able to create an entity that gets donated to if all these people are creating entities that are getting donated to where the money's being filtered and laundered and so on and so forth? Who do you know that's done it? Who do we know that's why couldn't we do it?
I'm sure we could do it if we were politically
What about
connected.
our mayor?
If we were politically connected, I'm sure we could do it.
I think that's where you got to use Grok.
Exactly.
Grok will tell you how to do it. All right, but look, I just think that in baseball, football, it doesn't matter. You're a Viking fan, Giant fan, Eagle fan. It doesn't matter. You get rid of that hardline Bud Grant kind of coach. All right. And then you bring in, the happy-go-lucky guy.
Let's all get along.
Yes, and then you get rid of him. All right, and you bring in Buddy Ryan. All right, then you get rid of Buddy Ryan, and you bring in Rich Kotite. All right,
Richie Kotex.
right. I mean, why do we think that our political scene is not just doing the same thing? And I'm not one way or the other. I'm just saying. I just like to question everything. I don't like to take things fact. We didn't take things fact over here. You can't take things fact over here. All right? You just got to look at it kind of open-mindedly and say, are we getting the opposite? Are we causing ourselves to feel the opposite? Yeah, get rid of that nice guy. Bring in the disciplinarian coach.
I think what you really need to do is, like we said before, is basically you got to cut out the fraud. I mean, people are getting, their taxes are going through the roof, the deficit's going through the roof.
I think
They'll never have a balance.
I know there's
balanced
nothing
budget.
common about common sense. There's never anything common about common sense. But you have to apply some common sense to the shit that we're doing and are not doing.
Exactly.
Well, I would agree that the deficit, just from a fundamental point of view, is you take a look at a company, an individual, a government. I mean, you can only have so much debt, and until you have to service the debt, you can't pay for anything else.
Exactly.
Well,
when you
Sorry, honey,
But
you can't go to the spa today because we got to play the Bloomingdale
But if
charge
you get,
card.
if you get that deep, you can't print money. They print money.
Yeah, but that's gotten to the point now.
Well, that's where inflation comes from. I don't care what they say. That's where inflation comes from.
100%.
Look, they've been saying that since I can remember. And since I can remember, Social Security has been going out of business and bankrupt and so forth.
Well,
All right?
from that perspective, too, hasn't the Earth been, oh my God, we're going to have an ice age. Oh my God, it's going to melt. Oh my God.
All right.
It's
Let me ask you a question.
Global warming.
Let me ask you a question.
Crap.
Boomer Unplugged question.
Yes, sir.
How old were you when you bought your first house?
Me?
Yeah, you, me, it's kind of the same thing.
26?
26.
27. 27? Yeah, 27.
27. I was 24.
Yeah, but you...
Now, hold on. All right. Look, it was a fish and shack, all right, in Kentucky. Okay. All right. But it didn't have any liens on it. We got that cleared up. But the point is how old are kids today? Like,
Probably in their 30s.
Everything, and today's starting later.
Yeah, family.
I mean, if you look at it, it's kind of a generational shift, right? We started later than our parents, typically, because my mom and dad had 4 kids by the time they were 26 years
Did
old.
they both work full time?
No, just my father.
Did your parents both work
Although
full time?
I shouldn't say
No,
that.
my
My mom
mom-
did work later.
My mom didn't work. As soon as she had a kid, she didn't work.
My mom only worked because she had to when my parents got divorced, but
Single
you know,
mom.
kind of the same way that my mom remarried, and my stepdad, God bless him, I wouldn't be here today talking to you if it wasn't for him. But my mom didn't work either, and he was a roofer, subcontractor. And so, what would happen when it would rain or snow or
Seasonally.
you know, back then you didn't have nail guns, you didn't have, you know, you just hammered out.
Back then, that must have been a ball.
How many guys today are buying a house with a couple kids, you know, and between them, there was 2 that came in, they had 4 more, so a total of 6, with a guy that's a roofer.
Yeah, it's crazy.
6
You
kids as a roofer.
You can't do it now. There's no possible way you can support that family as a roofer. No way.
Right? And at a
Unless
house,
you own the roofing company.
3.5
Well, that's
acres.
different.
Well, that's a
Those
roofer.
guys make a lot of money. Let me tell
You
you.
own the company.
A lot of money. Roofing and siding, dude. They make a lot of money.
You think there's money back, making money again in, you know, those good old professions that we did, you know, roofing, sheeting, framing?
I think there's money there, but I think it, like Chris said, I think it's more you gotta own the company.
You gotta own it. You can't be the laborer. If you're the laborer, you're not.
Yeah, but you don't start out on it.
No, you'd have to learn.
How old were you when you got your first job?
12.
I was 15 or 16.
I got my first job. My first job technically was the only job I got fired from. I was in the middle of nowhere. There was a French restaurant, and my buddy I went to Catholic school with, his parents owned it. One thing led to another, so I got a job as a busboy. But when I found out that everybody could smoke in the kitchen, I was in the kitchen smoking all the time. So after my 4-week trial period, right, the guy said, "What's my schedule for next week?"
Wait a second.
You don't
wait
have a
second.
schedule.
I need that to roll that back a second. They needed 4 weeks to figure out if you could bust tables. What kind of trial period is?
Well, it's French.
What did you have to do it daintily?
Nothing like smoking
Well,
cigarettes at 14.
Well, what
too.
really got me fired was on my 4th week, everything was on pewter plates.
Ooh.
And so I picked one up, and it had the long string beans. Okay, this was before asparagus became popular. So it was the string beans. And I just saw it slow motion rolling off. And it nicked the guy's jacket, just his pocket on his jacket. He threw a fit, like I pissed on his wife. All right, like I could have pissed on his wife, and he would have got so angry. So I think that might have had a little bit to do with it, or I think I was, you know, I was done right from the beginning. But then I got a job parking cars. I was a valet before I even had a driver's license. I was 15 years old at the Cascade Lodge.
Lane cars.
Oh yeah, they had the greatest. They had the greatest payphone there. They had a payphone.
Payphone. There's a boomer
Yeah,
word.
exactly.
That if you clicked it twice, you heard the dial tone. You could dial anywhere in the country. So you know you get bored. You know you'd be there on a Sunday. And you might have 35 cars from 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, one time we called up and my buddy called up and there was 2 of us here, so that's even worse, right? And he called up and he says, called up the emergency squad and said there's a bad accident, you know, on 412, and hung up the phone. He comes out and he's laughing and he says, I said, what did you do? Who did you call this time? And he says, just wait. And we could hear the siren coming down the road. So, and then the other great thing about that is they actually caught the trout that they served in the restaurant. So they had this little pond that was kind of half hidden by the way the building came out. All right. And so my buddy Kenny Lowndes used to come up there every Sunday, hide under the building, catch like 6 or 8 fish, and then we got even a little more bold, and we started cooking them right there. He'd bring his little thing underneath there, would cook them. I'd be eating the trout out of there, parking cars, back in the day. And I didn't even have a driver's license. That was the best part of it.
That is the best part.
All right. But now kids don't want to work.
Well, nobody would hire you to valet cars at 15 years old today because they'd be breaking the law. Right?
Well, they have to ask you for your driver's license. They never asked me for any of that. Oh, and I was also a dishwasher, so I used to go in, park cars, and punch my ticket for the dishwasher. So I got paid as the dishwasher, not washing dishes and valeting the car. Now, and I didn't report any of that. Could I get in trouble for cheating on my taxes like 55 years ago or 50 years ago?
That's out of, what do they call that?
The true story.
Too old?
The statute of limitations is over.
Yeah, you're okay there.
Am I right now?
Yeah, I think you're
Oh,
safe.
by the way, that's why to this day I don't valet unless I kind of know who they
Why,
are.
what'd you do in the cars when you were valeting?
Well, first off, it was a hot car. It was a corner. We would fly around the corner. One time I had a Jaguar, and I go flying around the corner. It was wet, and shoo, right, there was a drop off. Right, soft shoulder. This was no shoulder. All right, shoot, and the tire was just hanging there. And back then, you just had one tire that spin. It wasn't a posi rear. All right. Well, that was the tire. So I had to run down the hill. My buddy, we had to get a jack and jack it up and kind of move it over to the side, and then we got it down. But the worst thing that happened. This nice lady, must have been her sister or aunt or something. They come in, all right, and it's Sunday brunch, and it's a VW Bug, and so other than casing every car that came in, all right, be amazed what you could find in cars. All right. So I was playing with the on off and listening to the radio. And then I'm like, well, it's a stick. I'm like, well, what happens if I turn it all the way on? I mean, I don't have the clutch pushed in. I'm just learning how to drive with a clutch, right? And it went, and then it started. and the way the wheel, and then, by the way, the wheel's locked, right? So it was just going like this, and I'm sitting out the side, and the door, and here's the bumper of a car next to me, and it just folds around my leg, and I'm like, oh my God! Like, first of all, my leg didn't break. I mean, it was like plastic almost. Now I stop the car, I get out, buddy comes running over, what'd you do this time? And I'm like, I didn't do anything, right? Of course you didn't do it. I didn't, and it just started. And now the door is all bent in, so we're pushing the door in, right? We get it shut, right? It's all bent. So now, 20 minutes later, the lady comes out, gets the car, right? Now think about this. You're over here. I run over, get the car. I pull it over here, drive around, right? Now I get out of the car, open up the driver's door. She comes in. I shut the door. Have a nice day, man.
The next day, what the hell happened to my door?
Yeah.
She closed my door.
Yeah. So that's why I don't use valets.
I don't really use valet either.
Oh my goodness. Like, and the stuff that you would find under the
I
seats.
can only imagine.
Now the booze and, everything else that goes along with it. But then, there were devices. Let's just put it that way.
I need a timeout.
All right, timeout. We're having another beer timeout here. Everybody get their mics set up and...
Hello.
Ready to rock.
So, I was driving, and I was tired of listening to the same old podcast and this, that, and the other. So I found a George Carlin set.
Ooh, old George Carlin stuff.
That was great.
His stuff so relates to today.
To every day.
It's unbelievable. But other than boomers, maybe Gen Y, does anybody talk about George Carlin anymore? Does he come up?
Never hear about him ever.
You don't really hear a lot about a lot of those
Yeah, Richard
comics.
Pryor,
Richard Pryor, don't hear a ton about him.
It's because of all the.
I mean, for a while you did, though, and there are some documentaries about him, but...
Carlin's best thing is when he said, "Get your shit off my stuff," when he was doing that. That was unbelievable.
He has so many good skits.
I remember when he was talking about Richard Pryor.
With the
And he's
heart
like,
attack.
yeah, you remember that one? He says, I want to be like Richard Pryor. So Richard Pryor has a heart attack. So I have a heart attack. Then next thing you know, Richard Pryor lights himself on fire. I said, fuck that, I'm going to have another heart attack. It just, tremendous stuff like that. But the way that he would talk about the system and people and so forth, my thought was, and we talked about this last time, do people really change or do we just get older? Like, are we different than the 18 and 19-year-olds? So much different? I mean, they got different stuff. And we had different stuff than our parents had. And they'll tell you, they were in the Depression, raised by their parents and went through the Depression and they didn't have anything. But are we really that different? And why is it also that every generation says the kids today are dumber than they ever were?
That's a good point.
Well, with comics, like a guy like him, Carlin, he would all his comic stuff he did was based on observation.
Observational comedy.
Nowadays, people can't do that. If they do it, they get ripped apart.
Oh.
So
I'm smiling because I'm thinking of my favorite comedian today, Steve Chappelle.
yeah, he says it
You
like
mean
this.
Dave Chappelle.
Steve's his brother.
I didn't know his brother was doing stand-up.
Three people on the podcast. Which one's I'm not even going to say it anymore.
Yeah,
All right.
Chappelle's excellent.
Steve Chappelle was a guy who said, "You're out there. I work with you. You know who you are." And he even spelled it differently. But Dave Chappelle, yes. Dave Chappelle is the best. All right. But, I listen to Rogan. I hear a lot of these comedians, on him. And, they're all funny, but they're all kind of the same. To me, it's kind of like, scary movies. There's no new scary movies.
You've seen the 35th one, the 36th.
There's only 35 jokes you can tell. Today, there's only 3 of them you can say in the office.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, or in public now. Before it was the office. You can't say it in the office. Now you can say it in the office, right? Because if they fire you, you can sue them. But you can't say it in public. I mean, but that aside, right? Is there new movies, new comedy? Is there, or is that why we don't pay tribute to the old guys because the new ones are just doing their version of the old stick?
I would say that's true. I mean, I don't think people
Like how much can you change? Kind of like you said, 35 jokes. There's maybe more than 35, but
it's like
how
music.
many times
Music's
do
the
you
same
see
thing.
the same version or a similar version of the jokes?
It's like music. How many songs do they have to repeat? Because
Well, you only have so many chords, right?
Yeah.
So then therefore there's only so many multiple of those chords.
Exactly.
You know.
You get caught up and you're just repeating songs
All
from
right.
the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Okay, so let's play
Let's play.
Guess That Riff. All right? Let's see how, right? So I'm going to give you a little riff.
Oh, boy.
All right? And
Now this
you
riff is
tell me.
going to be in tune, right?
No, I can't sing. All right, I'll give you an easy one. Dur, dur, dur.
Smoke on the water.
There you go. Okay, now your turn. You come up with a riff.
Oh boy.
I'm not doing this. This is stupid.
All right. I'll come up one for you. What was your favorite band as you grew up?
My favorite band was probably The Who.
The
I
Who.
always loved the Who too, but my first favorite group was Kiss. First favorite group. Then I kind of.
Now, why did you like Kiss?
I
they
liked
wore
the
makeup.
whole show, and they had like these, like I don't know.
So you're a big Kiss fan.
I was back then.
He liked Gene
All right,
Simmons.
but back then.
He
Way
liked
back
Gene
then.
Simmons'
I'm
tongue.
talking in the 70s.
Okay, name 3 Kiss songs. Go.
You asking me anything?
Yeah, 3 Kiss songs.
All right, let's see. How about Beth?
Detroit Rock City.
God of Thunder.
I didn't ask you.
Detroit Rock City.
You had 2. That doesn't count. He said that one.
Saturday Night.
Saturday night what?
Live.
Saturday night? Saturday night's all right for fighting.
Isn't that the song by that boy band, Saturday Night?
They're covering Kiss.
We're up to 2 and time is out. All right?
Well, they just named the books, didn't they? Didn't they just name like 3 or 4?
You named 3, but I gave you 1, so he's taking that away.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. That's why we have Keith, the official judge
How about
here.
rock and roll?
Keith doesn't lie, by the
Party every
way.
day?
That's a problem with
How
Keith.
about that one?
What?
How about rock and roll all night and party every day? Huh?
What's that song called? Rocker. You know?
Like I said, this
Like,
was in the
I guess-
70s. This was in the 70s.
What's my favorite Who song?
I can name the band members.
Teenage Wasteland. That ain't the name of the song. O'Reilly. All right.
Well, if I can name all 4 members of the band, would that suffice?
No.
Ah, jeez.
No, because all I wanted was a riff, and then you couldn't even
riff?
name 3 songs. All right.
I can name all 4 guys in that band.
Okay.
Not that they haven't changed.
All right. I'll give you another. I'll give you another
Kicked
one.
out
A
the
little
other.
vague song.
Who?
What did he say?
Yeah, give me a riff. Good.
All right.
He gives me smoke on the
It's like the one song
wall. It's
every.
an institution to get that one.
All right. Well, you come up with one.
I can't
Keith,
without
what was-
words.
Give me a couple of your favorite bands.
Just gave you one, The Who.
The Who. Did you ever see The Who in concert?
No, I did not.
What was your favorite concert?
My favorite concert. That's hard to answer.
Loose windscreen.
Yeah, I saw him. I wasn't a big fan, to be honest with you.
Me neither. Never was.
I don't
Here's
know.
a song about a car.
I saw Billy Joel and Ellen John. They were pretty good.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Are we? Oh, is this? Is it?
There ain't no sin to be glad you're alive. Gonna find one faith. Badlands. That, by the way, the Badlands has one of my favorite lines in it of any song. Poor man want to be rich, rich man want to be king, and the king ain't satisfied till he rules everything. Is that so true? In a way, isn't that a problem there, Fauci?
Not right now.
Huh?
Not right now, because Trump's in office.
Look. I'm just saying, do you think we could find somebody better than a 78-year-old guy I mean, look, I got no problems. I'm just saying. I'm just putting stuff out there for
I
you to
would say
think a
the guy
little
coming
differently.
right behind him is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I think they
J.D.
should.
Vance is
I
gonna
think
be
they
good.
should
He's
put an
very
age
sharp.
limit on becoming president. You shouldn't be allowed to be over 70 years old.
We're getting attacked by a dog over here as we
I
speak.
really don't think you should be allowed to be over 70 years old.
Hey,
If you got to be, what, 35 or 40 to become president, you
In
should.
some companies, you got to retire at 65.
I know.
You have to leave the company.
That's in the
you're a
government
state trooper,
alright.
you have required retirement at 55.
required.
Required.
I didn't know that.
Required retirement at 55.
I'm just helping them out here. All right.
That's why Roscoe retired, huh?
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
all
well, I don't
right,
think
so
they
you
have a
get to the
choice.
point. I mean, look,
I guess it's probably in their job. It's probably in their best interest to retire at that age because
Yeah,
it
they don't
becomes
want any old fat guys chasing people on the side of the road.
yeah. Plus, safety-wise, can they really do the job anymore? You know what I mean?
Well, and there you go. But then you have things like when I was 18, I took the New York City Fire Department test. If you didn't get 100 on the written test, you never got past 5th grade. That's how easy the written test was. The physical test was another thing entirely.
Brutal, probably.
well, at least we know why you didn't get it.
Unbelievably tough. I threw up after I did it, and now back then I weighed 140 pounds, and you had to do the test with 90 pounds on your back.
Yeah, because
So,
you got to carry
You
hoses
got,
and everything.
and you're upstairs and all this stuff. And then I made the list to become a New York City fireman, and women sued because they couldn't pass the physical. Well, that's if you can't pass the physical, then you shouldn't be able to do the job,
Exactly.
right? Whether you put an age
Did you
discrimination?
pass the
in-
physical?
Yeah, I got. 90.
So obviously you didn't pass the 5th grade test. That's why you didn't get in.
I got 100
I
on
mean,
that.
come on.
That test was
Oh,
so
wow.
easy.
I thought you were going to say.
Well, why didn't you get in?
I thought you.
Because the women sued and they threw out the results because not one woman was able to pass the physical test. Now, they get 100 on the written test. I'm telling you, dude, I could probably send a 5th
Go.
grader in
Get
and
outta
they would
here.
pass that. It's just questions about,
No, you're getting attacked. by
general
the dog.
questions. I'm going to knock them out. But anyway, so they sued the city. They won the lawsuit. They changed.
So their requirements
changed the
became
te-
easier.
Yeah, and then they started allowing women onto New York City Fire Department. That's back in
1928.
Yeah, 28.
My dad was a fireman.
Really?
Yeah, it was the Philadelphia Fire Department. And
A Polish guy they let in.
yeah, oh, I'm telling you, he would have been happy if there were girls in the fire department. Yeah.
Usually the fire
He was married
department's
5 times,
Fire
so-
department's usually like
Would've been
90%.
6 then.
90% Irish.
Well,
They really are.
yeah.
Yeah, but then again, I think about it. If I would have been hired as a fireman all right, so let's say you make a
9/11.
list. Right. I would have been hired 81, come out of the academy at 2001. I would have been a 20-year guy. You'd be in. There were 20-year guys that got killed.
And then the other guys got all the asbestos going into their
That shit too, yeah.
Dealing with that stuff. People forget about
It's
that.
kind of weird if you think about it. When those things came down, you think of a floor in an office building and all the desks and all the computers and all the filing cabinets. And when they come down, where is all that stuff?
it's all-
It was just powderized.
100 floors.
It's unbelievable to think about the power that must have happened with that. But anyway, I digress.
You're getting deep there.
It just 9/11 is something I don't think this country should ever forget.
100%.
Should never forget it. I think that should be those videos should be played once a month so that people don't forget. I think we've forgotten. We really have. how else would you just, all right, we haven't been attacked, so to speak, but you let how many millions of foreigners come in here? It's a matter of time before something happens.
From all over the world, too.
Yeah.
Not
A lot
just
of them
Mexico.
don't look at us as we're such good people.
There's people that are our own senators.
I just
Hate our
don't get the
country.
whole thing. I don't get the whole thing when it comes to that.
I think that 90% of the people in the world are really good people.
I won't disagree with you. I think 90% is a very high number.
Yeah.
I would say you apply the 80-20 rule
All right. So
most of the time.
how many people are in your family?
But I've become very cynical over time. Like, I don't trust anything. I don't trust. Somebody's always got an angle. Oh, yeah, you're being nice to me. Huh? What are you looking to sell me? You know what I mean? And when I go
Well,
out
if they
of
use
this
Grok,
well,
to make their
hence they gotta
presentation, they
do
would
Grok.
be successful at selling you whatever. No, I'm only kidding.
Did Elon contact you on the side to do
No,
stuff?
I tested
Because
all
if you're
the
getting paid
AI.
for this stuff and I'm not, I'm gonna have a problem.
And my fee's $5, by the way.
This is my
You
point.
have to pay $5
You
bills.
see, I'm being ridiculed, but I'm the only one that tested every AI that's out there, and I'm forming my own opinion. But since my own opinion is not with your 10
How
minutes,
do I know underneath there you didn't AI grok and say, hey, what should I say at this podcast tonight?
with our
So I'm not
circulation
really,
of 7,
I'm not really
I mean,
3 of them are here.
yeah, and the dog, that's 4. Your wife's hearing everything upstairs, that's 5. Nor my wife's going to listen to it if we got 6, you know. And then we were hoping Keith gets 7.
I haven't sent any of it to anybody. None of it.
Well, we haven't rolled it out
That's
yet.
why
officially.
I haven't, I'm not,
All right, we
when you
need
tell
a
me
guy
we're
like
ready,
Keith here.
then we'll start sending them
Don't
out.
forget
I mean,
Stan.
we do have more than 5 friends each.
Now, Keith, you were kind of legendary in your time for being a very outspoken individual. All right?
What do you mean by that, John?
Well,
And in your time, did it change?
you're a guy that says the things, you're like the Howard Stern. You say things that other people think but don't say, and then you say them. And then, but the most incredible thing that I always found about Keith is nobody got offended. He can say the most offensive things in the world, and nobody got offended. All right? And then right?
Especially women.
They loved them.
Some women would be at first, they'd be like, what the? And then they were, oh, it's fucking him just playing around, goofing around. He called me the C word, he's just goofing around.
It's all in good fun.
Now, how did you do that? How were you able to do that? Is that a known ability that you know that you have? Or like we're just telling you something for the first time that you
I'm always joking around, and I think when you're always joking around, people kind of understand that after a while. They say, hey, you know, this guy's joking around. He's not serious. He's making fun of everybody, not just certain people, certain religions, certain everything else.
That's
fun
the
of
first time my wife met me. But then after, like, my son needed a perfect example. And so my wife thinks he's an asshole because of what he said when he first met her. I'm like, yeah, you don't, it's not, it's a joke. Oh yeah, it's a fucking joke, that's a joke. And I go, you don't understand. Keith's like a foxhole kind of guy. You know, once you're Keith's friend, he'll do anything for you. All that other stuff, that's just him fucking around. Justin needed a ride to or
Great
from
adventure,
work
yeah.
or whatever the hell it was.
Justin, your son.
Yeah. And I go, Keith, can you do me a favor? Sure, dude, what's up? Justin needs a ride, can you get? No problem, boom. That's foxhole. You know, he'll help you if you need help. You help him if
It's called friendship.
right.
You've been with guys.
Goes a long way.
Yeah. You believe it.
Right? You
So-
know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so-
You have the same
So
mentality.
what did you do to him that he had to stick his finger in your eye? I mean, that's what I want to
Better in
know.
my eye than other
I
places.
mean, you're a good friend of mine. Here you go. All right.
His finger was real wet after that too.
You know, next,
That was gross.
you
That
know,
was pretty
next
bad.
thing he's coming with the pitchfork. Look out.
Yeah, that was a bad one. But you know, what you gotta do? Playing basketball,
Yeah,
shit out.
running around.
Now, when we started tonight, we were talking about bartenders.
Yes, we were.
All right. And we were talking about a place that we go to, you know, after we play basketball. And the idea was if you put a 20 on the bar, you drank all night, and you went home with change. All right.
No change.
Well, we gave it for
You could leave with change if you were one of the cheap guys.
If you were Rutsky.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, jeez, 10 left?
yeah,
I had 35 drinks, but I got $10 left.
But my point is do they make bartenders like that anymore?
No,
I don't think they can do it.
they're not allowed to. Everything's
The
under-
cameras and everything else.
and that was a great throwback.
Catherine was, in her 80s.
But she was pretty sharp still.
Yeah.
And she made money. Obviously, she made money.
She made
Otherwise,
money and she didn't care that.
Catherine, the legendary owner of Ernie's.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she was
Here in
she
Robbinsville,
didn't-
New Jersey.
She
I
didn't
mean, I
mind.
talked to that woman well into her 90s, and she was still pretty sharp.
And she didn't mind her bartenders made money too.
Yeah. No, she wanted them to
yeah,
make
yeah,
money. As
exactly.
long as, remember she had to get rid of her brother-in-law, grandson.
Well, he was right.
Every night we go in there, there'd be like 20 people,
He's robbing her bar.
and they were all drinking for free.
Exactly. And he was stealing her, supposedly stealing her, like gold coins upstairs. Bad guy. But
Yeah, how do you do that to your grandmother?
Exactly. You had Lee, you had
Well, you
Kenny.
you probably have some underlying problems.
Yeah, it's called.
You think?
Yeah, I think that maybe,
Either had a drug problem,
or a drug problem.
one of those things.
Maybe a drug problem.
I would highly consider that.
Yep.
And how about Cankles? Remember Cankles?
Cankles.
Talking about Mars. You talking about Mars? I'll never forget when I saw her in the doctor's office, leaning over the thing. This cankles were hanging out. It's like, oh Lord!
Yes. She really liked us, and she really liked me, by the way.
Do you remember that?
She liked me the best.
conversation with her
Do you
about-
remember that?
She did like you.
Yes.
Yeah, Joe, what did she used to call you?
What was your nickname? Johnny?
He had you. What the hell did she call you?
He had
She
the
had
nick-
a little
I did.
love name for
No,
you.
what was the nickname he had? Johnny Magician? Johnny?
I don't know. Johnny Love Cankles? I don't know.
Johnny Magic? John, what was
Do
it?
you remember the night with her talking about the color of balls? And George was there.
Yeah, I
What
remember.
color are your balls? Magenta. Magenta?
You talking basketball?
No, balls.
Ball sack.
Balls. Scrotum.
Yeah.
Well, what color are they supposed to be?
Magenta? You're nuts in magenta.
I don't even know what freaking magenta is. All right, it sounds like a basketball player, a foreign basketball player. Here comes Sammy Magenta.
No, by the
All
time you're your age, your nuts should be a little bit brown. You should have
Well,
a
what
little
color-
toasty
And
brown
they
color.
should have dropped.
Now close to your kneecap.
What color?
Mine were rolling in the grass the other day.
I took him out for a walk.
On the treadmill. Planet Fitness.
I stood on the sideline.
Hey, the good thing is if you don't wear any underwear, it takes the stretch marks out of your face. All right.
Good point. I'm gonna try it.
All right, there you go. But what color is magenta?
It's pinkish maroon,
Yeah.
like dark pink.
I don't have any idea.
It's a
It's
dark pink.
literally like it's a cross between pink and
maroon.
purple,
Yeah.
or,
It's
but
like,
more pink than purple.
yeah, I'd say dark pink.
Yeah. That's magenta.
And is it supposed to be magenta?
No, that's why we laughed our ass off.
Oh, okay.
So we obviously thought
So
that
you
she
had to have
hasn't
a-
seen a whole hell of a lot of bull sacks.
Right. So you had to have a little
She
bit
hasn't been teabagged too many times.
Because the
of.
guy,
I ain't even. I know.
because the guy who
So
did
my
lost
point
his
is to
nuts.
understand and to laugh at this joke. To understand and laugh at this joke. You had to have art history class or art class, so you know that mixing colors makes magenta.
Okay, now, your daughter is an artist, correct? Ask
Hers
your
don't-
daughter what color magenta is.
I will.
She will immediately say, Dad, it's kind of...
Did you
We
ever-
have one rule here.
You
at-
almost,
at-
you
at
almost
Boomers.
just invoked the rule.
We have
but
one
I
rule
wasn't
here at
going
Boomers
to.
Unplugged is no daughter jokes.
Did you ever?
And Keith, by the way, at Ernie's, is the only one that ever violated that joke. And you remember what I did to you?
No, I don't recall.
I reached over and I grabbed those 18 button, squirter things, and I hit them all, and it just went. Shoo. To me, that's like magenta.
Exactly.
That's magenta. All right.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, but that was a true story.
Did you ever watch Blue's Clues?
Blue's Clues.
Is it a kid's show that
Yeah.
repeats
Yeah,
itself
yeah,
as the same
Blue
show
Dog.
every time?
Blue Dog and the guy Steve. I think his last name is Chappelle. His
Never gonna
his
live that
dog
one down.
friend.
Sorry, Dave.
His dog friend is Magenta.
Magenta.
Yeah.
Who is a magenta colored dog.
Exactly.
No, all right. I mean, that makes sense. Or if you took, like, corn and
Cobb.
lima beans and you said that's magenta. That sounds a lot better than succotash. All right? Succotash. We're having,
And where did they come up with that name?
I don't know.
like, there's words that, like, how can you eat succotash? There's
I
only
kind of like sucking.
one food worse than that. Kumquat.
Yeah, that's.
Do you ever have a kumquat?
I have.
I mean,
They're
my
not
goodness.
bad.
My grandmother, my Polish grandmother, all right, and she would make kumquats. And then she would also make, and by the way, Brussels sprouts boiled. Now, like, I hated Brussels sprouts, and then one day I'm
The
in a
house
restaurant,
was the
and I'm like,
stunk.
I hate Brussels sprouts.
Do you?
oh, they, why did they become popular? I think because nobody bought them,
Yeah.
and they've been just building up inventory for 25 years.
And they never go back.
Let's grill these son of a guns, Give them to the,
They bake
like
them for a
lobster,
while,
they-
throw bacon and onion in them.
So you're basically trying to kill the taste.
Oh yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, they're okay, but you have to have something else to kick it up a notch. You don't want to eat those.
yeah, like
things just
a
by
fifth of
themselves.
whiskey or something,
Exactly.
Yeah, you gotta put like cheese and bacon.
I don't think you go on a first date and eat
Hey, let's
those,
go
though.
eat. No, definitely not.
Right? I mean, unless both of you are eating them.
Let's
I mean,
fart in
like-
each other's face.
Cleveland Steamer.
Well, look, how many foods can you eat that the next day you know you ate that food? And I'm going to say
How about
one.
the next minute?
It might be the same food I'm thinking of. What's
Within-
it start with?
Within,
What's
I'm
the
telling
first
you,
letter? What's the
within, maybe
first
not a
letter?
minute, but 2 or 3.
What's the
definitely.
first letter?
An A.
Second letter S?
Yep.
Oh, asparagus.
Yeah.
Asparagus.
Within 2 minutes eating asparagus, you piss. It smells like asparagus.
Yeah.
It's amazing how fast it
Now,
happens.
does
You always
that
have to
happen?
piss too.
Is that just a guy thing?
No,
How do you know?
I'll guarantee you. Ask your woman. Guarantee you. It's a diuretic. It just goes right through you.
Chris likes golden showers.
with after you eat asparagus. I can tell.
Do you ever
You know why you're supposed to eat
Do you ever
pineapple?
pee in a urinal? Like we've all peed and it
Yes.
comes out different directions sometimes. You ever pee in a urinal and pee on the guy next to you?
No.
It just
but
came out the
I
side.
have had that happen to me.
No.
I got my leg peed on from the guy next to me because it went.
Wow.
It's hard for it to go
course.
directly to the right.
Of course, he was standing right in that direction. He was behind him in line, actually.
He was at a Yankee game.
Yeah. Wearing a Met uniform. I don't know what happened. Well, how about that? So that's one of our favorite things we used to do at Ernie's, right? Is have you ever?
Everything in Ernie's.
Have you ever? All right, so you've gotten pissed on.
Survey says.
Have you ever got peed on? I mean,
Not by another
not what he. I mean,
Not by another man.
not by another human being.
Another man.
Chris's dog pissed on me about 10 minutes ago.
Right. While he was humping your leg.
when was the last time that somebody tried to take a swipe at you?
Fight?
And a punch?
Yeah.
Oh God. Couldn't remember.
Gotta be at least,
Long time ago.
gotta be at least 10 years.
Yeah, I couldn't even remember. Couldn't remember. Well over. I would say probably at least 40 years ago. Somewhere in that range.
You?
I don't think anybody's ever taken a swipe at me. I remember one time I was at this, I must have been 11 or 12, right when my parents got divorced, 12. And I went to this guy, Pokey Breen, right? His house. And I knocked on his door. Nobody answered. And I knocked on the door again. And he comes to the door. And I'm like, yeah, Pokey. And he bangs the door open, right? And like all pissed off. And his mom's standing there. Now, you think about it now, back then, his mom was probably yelling. And he had to go do something. And anyway, so he comes out like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh yeah. And I just pummeled him right in front of his mom. Now, that was the only time I ever took a swipe at somebody else, but, he was the aggressor. You get the door pushed in your face and guy starts yelling at you. You're 12 years old. What are you going to do?
Gotta protect yourself.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Pookie Breen.
The last time somebody took a swipe at me,
It's probably me
We
when I put
went-
my finger in your eye.
I'm going to say an intentional swipe. Was probably, I don't know how old I was, early 20s. And me and a few friends, we were at a concert at the Meadowbrook in Verona, which they used to have really good shows in that place.
I remember the song about that.
And then we went to the
My Verona.
White Castle. Actually, the White Castle was in Verona. I think the Meadowbrook was in Cedar Grove. Anyway, so we're in the parking lot going into White Castle. Out of nowhere, these two girls come walking through the parking lot. They have underwear and t-shirts on. That's it. I'm a 20-year-old guy. I'm intrigued by this. So is my other friend Bill. My other two friends are like, we got hamburgers on our brain. They go into White Castle. So me and my friend Bill, the one girl says, hey, you guys are going to get wet because it starts raining a little bit. And we turn around. It's like a straight line. Well, we're not wet now, but we wouldn't mind getting wet. They come over. We start talking with them. Next thing I know, there's two guys standing next to us. One puts a knife to my friend's stomach, and this other one comes out and bam, just cold cocks me in the side of the face. I go down, and we just got lucky. Right 2 seconds after that happened, whoop, here comes cops pulling into the parking lot. And they're like, what's going on here? I go, that dude just had a knife at my butt. And look at my face. I had a red mark on my face. But that's the last time I got punched or anybody threw a punch at me.
Yeah, but then what happened? I mean,
Nothing.
The cops
The cops come.
did
and,
nothing.
And
Did the guys run away?
No, the cops were right there with all of us. I said, we started talking to these girls. These two guys came out of nowhere. It was like a setup.
Yeah, totally.
And this guy punched me in the face, and that guy had a knife at my buddy's stomach. And obviously, when they saw the cops pull in, they tossed the knife. So I go, well, he doesn't have a knife on him now.
Now, the girls in their underwear, did they toss the underwear? Or, I mean,
No. No,
did they wonder why the girls...
It became very obvious that it was a setup.
Yeah, they were looking at
It
probably...
was a total setup.
They were probably trying
They
to
were
rob
looking to
you.
rob us.
Yeah.
And if those cops didn't show up right then and there, we would have been robbed.
And
Yeah,
when it was all over with it, the other two guys were still eating their double cheeseburgers.
Right.
I wouldn't-
They're
I-
25 men. My friend Zig used to say, all right, I'm going into White Castle. I'm going to order 25 mentholated cheeseburgers and a pack of Cools to go.
Now, let's go back to the story, all right? Because I still have questions here, and I'm not Columbo, all right?
No, you're Howie.
But the cops, did the cops wonder why or ask the girls why they're in underwear?
No.
The cops just don't want... They just want everyone to disperse.
They just wanted it to disperse.
Yeah.
They just, all right, we don't want to have to deal with any of this crap. You guys, anybody need to go to the hospital? No. Anybody no? We don't find any
All right,
weapons.
it's
but
like
this sounds like something that these people have done before.
Oh, 100%.
So there had to be a history of other people,
Getting robbed.
right, like that. I mean, I'm sure they,
but you gotta
they're not
remember-
hitting every Jersey town, right?
These cops are like the cops that show up at people's houses in Robbinsville after they hit 911.
After they were mistakenly.
Well, that happened earlier today
Because
as
you
we were
might have
setting
a
up.
gun at my head.
As we were setting up our,
Oh, can I say gun on this?
as we were setting up our cameras, I accidentally hit the emergency phone call on one of the cameras, which is an iPhone, and the police did come. And they were very nice, right?
Yeah, they were good.
Well, actually, the first thing that
right in the
happened
middle of the second bowl.
was 911 called me back on a phone that I don't even have registered yet, but I found that iPhones not registered.
Was it which phone? My phone?
Yeah,
John,
iPhones.
That's
not
how
regis-
you ended up dialing it. Because that phone can't make any other call.
John, just so you know, it's
Who's
not
telling
it's
this
not
story?
9/11. 9/11 was the day we got
The towers
bombed.
came.
It's 911 for emergency call.
Emergency, hello, emergency.
All right, you dial 911 or dial 911 and tell me if somebody different picks up. All right, okay. All right,
Hello, 9/11 Museum.
I know at Rutgers they teach you really good math, but I just want you to figure this formula out. All right, and you tell me if somebody picks up that's different. Oh, May's flowers, Myrtle's girdles. You bend them, we mend them. I mean,
Oh my God.
all right. So I think our second, which should have been third, but because of our
With
mishap.
your technical difficulties.
Yeah, which hopefully we will record that podcast. But I think this is a good podcast. And
We
and
have
Keith,
to because Michael was good.
the
And I
famous.
think he'd be just as good the second time. I really
We're
do.
talking about Keith. Keith's our guest.
No, I knew he'd be a great guest. That was not a
Who's
question.
Michael?
He's the
Oh,
He's
that
the
guy with
person-
the
yeah,
blonde
yeah,
hair.
yeah. The one that was shot from the wrong angle.
That was my fault.
I didn't say it was anybody else's fault.
Well, I realized that it's more difficult to have skinny guys on a podcast to get the right angle than fat guys. 'cause-
That is true.
I mean, you just.
That guy's face looks the same from this side to that side.
Especially with a big head.
All right, so before we part, all right, I have one more question.
Oh boy. This is the one of the evening right here. Drum roll, please.
Who is the best athlete in sports today?
Best athlete in sports.
No, the key word
today.
is athlete.
Overall athlete.
Best athlete in sports today.
I might have to go with Saquon Barkley.
I'm going to go with the guy Hunter. From
It
Colorado.
just came out.
Yeah. Plays corner and wide receiver.
So this guy was just traded to the Lakers.
Donkey? You think he's the best athlete?
Without question.
You're out of your mind.
Here's
He's
why
not
I
even
say
close
that.
to the best athlete in basketball. Not even
Anybody that
You're
can
talking about athlete?
We're talking about athlete.
Athlete. You know, like athlete. Well, wait a minute.
Can I answer now?
Athlete.
What is he, a good tennis player too?
No, if a guy can look like that and score 30 points every night against basketball's probably got the best athletes overall.
Football.
You put
It's
that
tough.
you put that right guard on the court. He's
He's not
He's not
stopping an
scoring
NBA
any.
player, but you could say the same thing about a football field.
Okay.
You put one of them inside a box with the other, that football player's going to run his ass over.
all right, but that's nice. But my point is, he's got to be the best athlete because he doesn't look like an athlete. There's nothing that he does other than playing basketball that looks like an athlete, but he dominates. He dominates. That's, to me, is the best athlete.
Well,
We're talking about athlete.
I have to
Athlete.
disagree. I have to strongly disagree. He might be a great basketball player on the offensive end of the floor because he sucks at defense. All right, and a good athlete would be able to stop another good athlete, at least somewhat.
He's not good defensively.
The objective of the game is to
He's
score
not even
points.
close to the best athlete in basketball. Not even close. And we had this conversation a while ago about who we thought was the best athlete in basketball. It doesn't hold true to when we had the conversation because at the time I said I don't think anybody's a better athlete than Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, he still is a great athlete.
Oh, he's still phenomenal. He's old now, so he's lost a little bit. But when he was in his heyday, he
not
was
the heyday.
faster than anybody. Are you
What?
talking right now?
Right now.
I still go with Saquon Barkley.
John Morant's a hell of an athlete.
John Morant's an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
Far more athletic than Doncic could ever imagine being.
Is your brain part of being athletic?
No. No.
It helps you.
I'm not
Okay,
saying
if
that
it helps you, then it's got to be part of.
Well,
Definitely.
define athletic then. Define athletic because your brain will help you be better at an athletic sport because there's a game involved and your brain has to digest the game. But athletic wise, running, jumping, doing the things that the body can do at the level that these guys can do it is what makes you an athlete. I'd be willing to bet that when I was Doncic's age, maybe I could jump that high off the floor because he can't jump.
Shoot set shots.
He can't jump. He's not fast.
You know what?
Great, don't get me wrong. Phenomenal basketball.
So for him
I
to
figured
do what he's doing,
I figured
he's
it
got to
out.
be a great athlete because if you're
All right,
not,
so by that measure,
physically,
Larry Bird was the best athlete when he was playing.
I'm not talking physically gifted.
I figured it out.
But that's
I
athletic.
figured it out. It's a stupid question by a stupid person.
I resemble that statement. All right, and
Yeah, this is
this is
prove me wrong. If I could prove you wrong. Luka Doncic is not the best athlete in sports. I bet you we could get more people that are going to ever listen to this podcast to answer me on X about Luka Doncic being the best actor.
Ask Rock.
Go ahead, ask Grok. I guarantee you, Grok says, Luka Doncic.
You should ask one of your guests. You should ask Rock to be one of your guests.
Is boxing dead?
Chris.
Rock? Johnny Rock?
Oh yeah, he'd be funny.
I bet Johnny Rock would be a good guest.
Yeah.
He would probably like doing it.
Yeah, he'd probably do it.
Yeah, he'd have fun.
Yeah.
Shit, we'll have him and you. And maybe we get Consiglio if he ever comes out
we'll
of freaking North
We'll
Carolina.
do it at Pete's.
Ooh,
Where that lady can yell at me because I said that.
that place was a trip. You know, we used to do lunch together every Friday. For how long? Well, it was every Friday.
At Five Corners? 5
no,
Points?
we moved it around.
Yeah, we go to
were
Pete's,
at Rossi's,
Joe's.
Pete's.
I met you once at 5 Points.
JoJo's.
JoJo's.
Yeah.
Pizza place.
One on the corner.
Bill's?
We're Bill's?
Bill's.
I don't remember going to Bill's. Did we ever go
Bill's.
to Bill's?
Never been to Bill's in my
Not
life.
for Friday.
No.
Well, it was
All right,
somewhere around
here's
there.
one for you.
JoJo's.
You guys-
JoJo's right across
You
the
guys
street.
are
Joe.
local, so mark your calendars. April 11th. Gary Burnaby, the guy with the toupee.
He has a toupee.
He actually doesn't have a toupee. He had a kind of funny story.
What, do you get plugs?
No. Gary doesn't give a shit about
Excuse
going
me.
bald.
I have to go to the. We have to take a break.
Gary
can
plays
talk
in
about
a
Gary.
band called The Best of Clapton around here, and they're playing at Cooper's on the river. They're spectacular. They're really, really good.
April 11th?
April 11th, which I think is a Friday.
Yeah, because today's what? The 1st?
Yeah, and I leave. I go to Florida on the 3rd. I come back on the 8th. He's playing on the 11th. They're really good. Really
You got to text me to remind me.
Yeah,
You know
I will, because I know you. You'll forget.
It's 100%.
I'd even be shocked if you showed. I'm telling you, you'd enjoy it. If you like Eric Clapton music,
No, Clapton's great.
they go all the way from Buffalo, Springfield, to pretty current. You know, he got real bluesy lately and does a lot of blues cover stuff, but really good.
Good.
All right, I got one last question, and then we'll call it a night.
Here we go.
Oh, God.
Let's see. Is this one going to be better than the last one, I hope?
Who's the second best actor?
That would have been funny. Okay.
Why is it that you can drink beer all night until you break the seal once, and then you have to go like every 20 minutes?
All right.
Why is that?
Good question.
Why is that? Like, why can't you go, if you don't have to pee for 3 hours drinking beer, then why do you pee and have to go every 20 minutes versus why can't I go 3 hours
exactly
again?
why I don't drink beer. Like when we go out to dinner with friends over at the shore, I'll drink hard liquor because I don't have to pee. But I don't have to stop and pee on the way home. Otherwise, I got to stop.
The human head weighs 8 pounds. What movie?
The human head weighs 8 pounds. One movie.
That's in more than one movie, isn't it?
Jerry Maguire, the little kid.
I never seen that movie.
You never saw Jerry Maguire?
I've never seen Jerry Maguire.
Oh, that's a good movie. That's a really good movie.
Is that the golf movie?
No, that's the football movie where he's an agent. Tom Cruise is an agent. And Cuba Gooding Jr.
is a good
he's great in that movie, and he skyrocketed to stardom
Yeah.
and disappeared as quickly as he rocketed to stardom.
You know
He
why
was
that
big
is?
for like 7-8 years. Bump gun.
You know why that is?
I think he did something stupid. Didn't
No.
he?
Yeah, I think he did.
It's because I never seen the movie.
If you saw Jerry Maguire, Cuba Gooding Jr. would still be popular.
Can you prove it wrong? That's all I'm
Oh,
saying.
he's back on the prove me wrong. Because he just got, you know what that was?
He just got
That's an
proved wrong.
admission that he was wrong on the last one. We've never seen that before.
Tell me another athlete that looks
Athlete or athlete?
professional athlete that gets paid for playing sports that looks less of an athlete as him and scores more points.
Jokic.
Yeah, Jokic looks like a doughboy. He does. He does. Looks less of an athlete than Doncic and scores more points. And it's not Jokic. Holy shit. I'm gonna deep dig. It scores more points you're talking about in the NBA.
There isn't one. That's why you can't, because there's no better athlete.
Oh, well,
If you can be like that,
Jokic looks just as much of a doughboy as Doncic, but is a better
Player. 100%.
He's actually more athletic, in my opinion, than Doncic is.
He might be.
He's a little more athletic. I don't think he's
Bigger. He's a lot bigger.
a lot bigger. He passes just as good. He shoots fairly, but he can post up.
Yeah, he's big.
So he's got a whole game that Doncic really
doesn't need.
Doesn't really have. Chooses not to have, maybe. He could probably post up guards like crazy, actually, if you think about it.
He is 6'9".
6'9", 245.
Yeah, he's a
Oh,
That's
there
a
you go.
big-ass point
Oh, we're
guard.
starting to lean.
No, I'm not.
No, you are starting to lean. That was a lean. Was that not a lean?
I would never say Jokic is the best athlete in basketball either. He's a great basketball player.
He's the best
There
player.
There are so many guys who are. When you mention Ja Morant, might be the most athletic player in the NBA
Yeah, I
right now.
agree. Jokic is the best player.
Yeah,
Well,
Jokic is the best, smartest, skills,
Yeah, he's great.
big.
For everyone out there, thank you for listening to Boomer Unplugged.
Yeah.
Unplugged.